guys, Dorothy here today, and I'm here today to share with you my walkthrough step-by-step on the DIY gesso that I had spoke about in a video before, and I'll link this video to that video and that video to this video. So we're going to do our gesso today, our homemade gesso. However, I am changing it up a little bit. Instead of using or making a white gesso, I'm actually going to make a brown today, so you actually see how the color sort of works with it. It's the same exact steps, and I'll explain when I get to that process. The only difference is interchanging a few things. So here we go. So you need a bowl. I use a rubber spatula. Again, I buy it from the Dollar Tree. I bought my bowl from the Dollar Tree. Measuring cups. These are craft room only utensils, guys. I don't use these in my kitchen. These stay in my craft room. And a spoon to mix. You might need it, you might not. It just sort of depends on how things are going for you that day. So let's get started. The first thing we need, and this is an 1/8 cup measuring cup. I actually use an 1/8 cup because I personally find it works a little bit better for me than using 1/4 cup at a time. I don't know why, it does. So we're using cornstarch. Again, I buy this from Greater Value. I actually looked. It wasn't $1.13. It was 68 cents a can. So it was actually a little bit cheaper than what I even thought it was. Or they had put it on rollback anyway. And I need 1/4 cup of my cornstarch. And you're actually going to use 3/4, but you start with 1/4 only. Do not use more than 1/4 to start with, because it'll be like using concrete. And I use water, and I just use it out of a water bottle because it's easier to carry into my craft room, because I don't have a sink in here. So I need 1/4 cup of water. Put that in there. And no matter what you're going to do, that in the bottom is going to get hard. And then I need glue. Just any kind of white glue can work. You can use, you know, high-dollar name brand glue. I just used the Crazy Art glue. It's like, I get 3 bottles for $1 or something like that at Walmart. And you're going to need 1/4 cup of this. Let's see if I can, hold on, let me take the lid off. It'll be a lot easier. And you're going to need 1/4 cup of this, so you scrape that into your bowl. This is extremely simple to make. I will be posting this week a couple other. I'm going to be doing a homemade Modge Podge. Guys, seriously. We go buy Modge Podge, and you know, we can save so much money making it home ourselves. You will be running out to buy the supplies when we get done, I'm telling you, because you'll be like, what? There is no way. That's right. Because it will save you a ton of money. Just like this recipe, I actually totaled it up and it was $1.32, and that's actually, let's see, this was, the cornstarch was 68 cents, and I said $1.13. So you're talking 44 cents difference? No. Wow. You would think that I don't know math, but I actually do. Not 43, 44 cents difference. So, you know, that, is that right? Let's see. Somebody out there is, you know, double checking me and going, you know, that's not right. So I'm using up all my little empty, partial empty bottles of my glue. I had them tilted upside down last night to lessen it. So let's see, 68 cents, 30, that's 43, 44, for 5 cents, 45 cents difference. So see, somebody out there was all over, weren't they? No? Huh. trying to do something else. So, okay, 63 cents would be 65. That would be 35, 45, 48 plus 2, 50 cents difference. Wow. It was hard to get to there, wasn't it? That was almost painful, wasn't it, guys? Okay, so 50 cents difference. Is that right? Somebody double check me. Come on. You know you are. In your head you're going, she's crazy. I'm not actually crazy. I just couldn't remember. It wasn't that I can remember. I can't do two things at once. So probably talking and doing this isn't smart, but I am. Okay guys, I am back. I am so sorry. For whatever reason, I came down with the sneezes in the middle and I did not want to do that on the camera. Okay, so we finally figured out 40 cents, I believe, is what I came up with. Final equation. So I said $1.32 in pricing, so we're actually talking 92 cents a batch for this. If you buy your supplies at Walmart, that's the Crazy Art Washable School Glue, you know, their paint and their cornstarch. So we have, so far in here, we've got our cornstarch, we've got our water, we've got our glue, so we need to add our paint. Here's where I'm going to differ it up. Normally, you need a half a cup of acrylic paint. We're still going to put a half a cup of acrylic paint in it. However, I am actually going to add 1/8 of a cup of brown. And I'll tell you what color this is, because I actually want to make a brown tone gesso to sort of go with my vintage ink a little more. And this is actually a 21982E chocolate sprinkle, and this is satin acrylic paint, multi-surface. So again, I put 1/8 of a cup of the chocolate sprinkle in there, and then my other I'm going to do with the Apple Barrel 20403E white. It's actually a matte, and I know I probably shouldn't, but I think the satin will give me a little bit of shine without, because it's such, you know, I'm only going to use that 1/8 of a cup, so I think it's going to give me, you know, that little bit of shine, but not overpoweringly. I want extreme shine. So let's just leave that lid off and make it easier. Okay, so again, you need a half a cup of the acrylic paint. So I mean, overall, you know, this is a lot cheaper than, you know, if you're running, and I like the fact that I can customize it and I can make my gesso whatever color I want. You know, because a lot of times you'll find white gesso, you'll find black gesso, and that's it. And sometimes, you know, white is too stark, and, you know, black's too dark. So this will be my final bit going in. So I wanted to, you know, do some brown that just sort of blends in with it. And I am so sorry about earlier with not being able to calculate that. I feel so goofy, but I'm trying to do two things at once here. And if you've ever tried to do two things at once, it's not always easy. Okay, and then I always keep a pack of baby wipes close. I know some people do. I find it really useful because, like, now that I need to go back to using my cornstarch, I can just use this, wipe out my little measuring cup, and, you know, everything's great. Because, especially with using the brown, because I really don't want that in my cornstarch. I don't want glue in there, you know, I don't want water in there because, you know, depending on what recipe you're doing, you may or may not need, you know, whatever that item is. So I find, you know, having the baby wipes just makes it really handy. Just a pointer for new people if you've not ever done, you know, a lot of DIY. Okay, so now we're going to take our spatula, and when you do this, you're going to have to sort of scoot around on the bottom because that cornstarch, it becomes almost cement in the bottom. And I've tried it on top, I've tried it in the bottom, and just trying to see what works out better, and it all sort of doesn't work out. You just have to stir and mix. And you'll see, this is looking really, you'll see how gooby it is. And you're just going to stir. And it will mix together. And you'll feel when the cornstarch sort of breaks down. So when you first do this, this is going to be really, really liquidy at first because you have so much in there. And again, you want to use the cornstarch a bit by bit, you know, that 1/4 cup at a time. And I will put I'll put the recipe in the description box below. Just because it's so much easier, I think, if you list stuff down there. So, we've got that stirred really, really well. And as you can see, that's going to be perfect for my vintage photo. I mean, we still got some cornstarch to throw in there, but... And you want to make sure there's no hard clumps and that type of thing. So I usually just mix through, sort of see how it goes. So you can see how liquidy it is. It just very, very liquidy. So let's go for our next. Our next 1/4 cup. And remember, we're going to do 3/4 total, so I'm getting to the end of this, so this is... I'm sorry if my arm gets in the way, I'm trying to... Okay. I'll open my new can, because this is getting really low. Okay. Go ahead and get my new can out and ready. Okay, so you just stir that up, and again, remember, try to get it all mixed in good. And if there's any, you know, big clumps or anything like that, you just sort of want to make sure you work those in. And there'll be a point to where it gets really weird looking, like, well, hold on, let me stir a little bit more. I don't know if you can see, it almost has like a cottage cheese, like a really grainy. You want to keep stirring when you get to that point. That's not mixed in. That's just where it's partially mixed in. So keep stirring and it will smoothen out. You'll see that sort of dissipate. Just keep stirring. It'll smooth out. I've sort of still got a cold, guys, so if you hear me sniffling or whatever, I apologize ahead of time, or sneezing. Like, I had to turn the camera off while ago to start sneezing. It's crazy. Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add our final 1/4 cup. And again, you know, like I said in the previous video, this is one of those things, you sort of have to do this to your satisfaction. I know where I want my gesso to be at. You know, I know the thickness I want. Sometimes you may have to add more, sometimes you may have to add less. I find I do really well at a 3/4 cup. I'm sort of happy with how thick it is, because I don't want it too bulky, but I don't want it too runny either. So 3/4 cup works for me. Now, you may want yours thicker. If you're a person who, you know, wants yours thicker, then, you know, by all means, add more cornstarch. It's going to make it thicker. If you want yours more runny, like, you know, say if you're, covering book pages just to create, you know, a base, and, you know, you want it more runny, not as thick, you know, then by all means add more paint to it, and that's going to thicken it up. So you sort of have to just play with it to find, you know, the thickness that you like. And again, just stir. As you can see, I mean, I used the chocolate brown. I know in the last one I told you about how using the darker colors. So this is the color brown that I used. And you see how dark that is. And it lightened to this. So you need, you know, be aware of that if you're going to use like purple or pink or green or something like that. You want to get that darker color because it's going to lighten up quite a bit. I mean, you have a lot between the white. Now, I could have used more of the brown paint. I could have used all brown paint and it would have been a lot darker. Obviously, I wanted mine to be, you know, similar to my Distress Oxide, you know, more of a brown tone. So, you just stir and till a lot of your big clumps are out. I mean, you can see that's a lot thicker than what it was. And that's about where I like mine to be, because then, you know, if I want it thicker, I can throw more cornstarch in just a small batch. But this is just a nice medium, you know, where I can really fade it on my covers and stuff like we did on the Suddenly Autumn journal. So, that's about how I like mine. And you can see, it did great. And this is going to... This is a half pint jar, or I am sorry. It is, you know, this is a pint jar. It's one of the Pioneer Woman pint jars, and this is what I store mine in. So like doing this, I made, you know, a small batch, not a full batch. So, you know, I'll store that in here, and I'll be using this in, you know, later projects, so you guys will see it come out and get to see me use it in action. The white that I used on the Suddenly Autumn was, you know, gesso that I made. So, you know, it's a simple recipe. Again, you're going to put a 1/4 cup of water, a 1/2 cup of your acrylic paint, and a 1/4 cup of your white glue. Stir all that all up. You're going to add, you know, your 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Stir it up. Another 1/4 cup. Stir it up, another 1/4 cup. When you get your 3/4 in there, then you're good to go. So, you know, I will put that recipe below. You know, main things I can tell you is make sure it's smooth. Only do a 1/4 cup of cornstarch at a time because it's easier. And remember, if you're, you know, if you do want to color your paint, you know, you have a 1/2 cup of acrylic paint. You can do all color, part white. I mean, you can sort of play around with that and build the color that you want. You know, if you want to do a darker color, you may, you know, start small. Use that 1/4 cup at first and see, or yeah, 1/4 cup at first and see how it does, or that 1/8 cup, and then slowly build up into the color. So, this is my DIY gesso. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I'm sorry about the whole confusion with the math and all that. Blame it on a head cold, because usually I'm good. I will be back with another, you know, some more DIY tutorials later this week. You guys have a great day. It's Monday, so have a great and wonderful day. I hope your week goes really well, and I'll see you in the future. Bye.